Hey everyone, so this is Follow the Drinking Gourd Without Annotations. So this is if you wanted to annotate on your own. I'm just going to read the story to you. Probably won't talk too much about it. Follow the Drinking Gourd. Remember, child, it be a secret, Mama told me. You can't tell nobody. Why not, Mama? I asked, looking up at her face that shone like polished ebony in the dim moonlight. Because it be a secret that will take us to freedom one day, and that be the most precious secret of all. It was dark that night, surrounded by the whine and the whir of mosquitoes and crickets that Mama told me. I remember we were sitting on the steps of our ramshackle cabin, looking up at the stars. Mama pointed out the pictures that filled the heavens, tracing them out with her finger, while her soft voice told me their stories. She talked and I listened, and we both relished the company together after a long day's work in the fields. Then, when she went quiet, and when she spoke again, her voice had a new sound to it, a strong and serious tone. "John boy," she said, "you see this picture?" She traced the path of a strange shape. "That there's the drinking gourd." Following her finger, I could see the gourd in the sky like a pattern held in place with diamond pins. "Yeah, I see it, Mama." "Now, if you follow the line from the edge of the gourd straight up, you'll come to that specially bright star. See it?" "Uh-huh," I replied, squinting to make the picture clearer. "That's the North Star. If you follow it, it'll guide you up north to freedom." "Freedom," I echoed, hardly understanding. "Yes, honey, freedom. And one day, me and you are going to follow that drinking gourd to freedom." The next evening, we were squatted together in our stuffy gloom of our cabin. She was busy scrubbing out the iron pot that held our evening meal of corn pones, salt pork, and greens. I was beside her, trying to mend the handle of our only piggin with some twine. I was busy mulling over the strange thought of freedom that Mama had brought up in the previous night. "Mama," I asked, "how we gonna get to freedom?" "Hush, child, not so loud," she admonished me. "There'll be trouble if anyone hears about this talk of freedom." Her eyes rolled white in the dim light as she looked around, making certain there wasn't anyone within hearing range. When she was satisfied that we were alone, she began to talk in a low voice. "Well, child, you know that there are people who hate slavery up north. Free black people and some white folks will do anything to stop it. If and we can just get across the Ohio River to the northern states, there'll be those people to do whatever they have to do just to help us runaway slaves." "Then what, Mama?" "There'll be them good folks that will help us. They can guide us to the promised land, to freedom." "When we going?" I asked. "Soon as the timing is right. And until then, we're going to trust in God and the good Lord, and we're going to pray. Master Jesus hears our prayers, and one day He's going to answer them." The days passed in a monotonous rhythm of heat and labor. Mama and I worked side by side in the cotton fields, the sun scorching down on our ragged, oft-mended clothes. Only Sunday served to break up the drudgery and toil. One Sunday, Mama and I again sat in our cabin steps. She was mending my only spare shirt, and I was busily occupied in scratching chiggers and thinking about freedom again. "Mama, I've been thinking," I said eventually. "What happens if when we get caught?" Mama's head snapped up, and a warning glint came into her eyes. "John boy, don't talk so loud. Remember, it's a secret." "I know, but there ain't no one near to hear anything." I gestured to the dusty, deserted yard in front of our small cabin. "So what happens?" I asked. Worry clouded her eyes, and she shook her head. "I just ain't going to think about that," she said finally. "I just ain't. I'm going to do my best to pray to Jesus and just hope we make it, because I can't face having you live a slave for the rest of your life, let alone face it myself for the rest of my life. We just got to get to freedom." Her voice rose in intensity. Just like the night under the stars, I can't have you living like this, never knowing how to read or write, never knowing when you might get sold away like your daddy, never knowing even just how old you are. You're the only child I got left, and all my other babies died, or were torn out of my arms by the slave masses. I ain't gonna let that happen to you." Her voice was thick with tears. "But, Mama, I heard that if masses catches their runaways, they whip 'em, or worse." "I know," she said, "but that ain't gonna stop me." Tears glistened in her eyes and made tracks down her careworn face. "I'm gonna follow the hope of freedom until I reach the promised land. And I'm going to take you with me, John boy." She reached over and grabbed my hand and squeezed it hard. "One day soon, me and you going to follow the drinking gourd all the way to freedom." It had been weeks since that first night under the stars. Mom and I, we kept on working day after day. Sometimes I felt like there ain't no hope, that we're going to be slaves forever. It's real easy to feel hopeless when the sun is beating down on your head and the overseer's whip lashes too often on your raw back. But when evening comes, Mama and I sit out under the stars and dream of freedom, and I trace the path to the drinking gourd with my finger, and hope swells up again in my heart. I just know that one day we're going to follow that drinking gourd up north to freedom, and I know that one day Mama and I will be free. So as I was reading, I hope you noticed that there were numbers. Those numbers indicate a footnote. And so what that is if you did not know what one of those things were or what it might have been referring to, so in this case, the author gives you these footnotes to help you with some of the allusions that he makes. And I'll talk about that, of course, in my annotations. Gracious, guys. All right, so you can see their numbers, so they match up. He's just kind of telling you some important things that maybe you didn't know about, or just some words that might not be used very often. I, for example, was amazed by the fact that there had to be a footnote for the word chigger, because growing up, I always knew that word. Some people call them red bugs, but if you've ever had them, you know. But apparently some people don't, so that's in here. So if there was something that had a number that you did not know about, go and use those footnotes to help you, because those footnotes also help you understand allusions made in the text, and that's the whole point of what we're looking at. All right, hope you enjoyed it.